Why the hell did 8 people lock themselves inside a giant glass dome and agree not to come out for 2 years? This is Biosphere 2, 3 acres of sealed glass in the Arizona desert, the largest closed world ever built by human hands, and what happened inside it is stranger than anyone planned. In the 1980s, a billionaire named Ed Bass poured $150 million into a single, impossible idea: build a miniature Earth, a world so perfectly sealed that 8 humans could live inside it, breathing their own recycled air, drinking their own recycled water, eating only what they could grow. No supplies from outside, nothing in, nothing out. The dream came from a man named John Allen, an ecologist who believed humanity might one day need a lifeboat, a self-contained world we could carry to Mars or use to survive the death of our own planet. So they built one. It took 4 years. Steel, glass, and engineering so precise the entire structure leaked less than 10% of its air in a year. Inside, they built 7 separate worlds: a rainforest, an ocean with a living coral reef, mangrove wetlands, a savanna, a fog desert, a working farm, and living quarters for the crew. On September 26, 1991, 8 people stepped inside, the airlock sealed behind them, and the experiment that the world was watching began. It did not go the way anyone expected. The first problem was hunger. The crew had to grow every calorie they ate, and the farm, even producing 83% of their food, wasn't enough. They were hungry, constantly. Their doctor, Roy Walford, put them on a diet that was low in calories but dense in nutrients. Their bodies adapted. But the crew lost, on average, 16% of their body weight. They were starving inside a glass paradise. Then came the problem that nearly ended everything. The oxygen was disappearing. When they sealed the dome, the air was 20.9% oxygen, exactly like outside. But month after month, it fell, slowly, quietly, 20%, 18, 16. After 16 months, the oxygen inside Biosphere 2 had dropped to 14.5%. That's the air you'd breathe at 13,000 feet, near the top of a mountain. The crew were getting sleep apnea, crippling fatigue. They could barely climb the stairs. And here's the part that haunted the scientists. The oxygen was vanishing, but the carbon dioxide it should have turned into wasn't showing up. Gas doesn't just disappear, so where was it going? The answer was hiding in the walls. The building itself was eating their air. The fresh concrete inside the dome was still curing, and as it did, it pulled carbon dioxide straight out of the atmosphere and locked it into the walls as stone. The crew were slowly suffocating because their own shelter was breathing in their oxygen and turning it to rock. In January of 1993, they gave up the one rule that mattered. They pumped oxygen in from the outside. The sealed world wasn't sealed anymore. But the air wasn't the only thing breaking down. The people were too. Cut off from the world, half-starved, and short on oxygen, the 8 crew members split into 2 factions of 4. People who'd entered as close friends stopped speaking to each other. They ran the experiment side by side and quietly despised one another. One crew member later said, "I don't like some of them, but we were a hell of a team." The ecosystem was rebelling too. Most of the insects meant to pollinate the plants died off. In their place, ants and cockroaches exploded across the dome. Morning glory vines swallowed the rainforest. The desert turned humid. Outside, critics tore the project apart. Time magazine called it a $150 million stunt. But they made it. On September 26, 1993, exactly 2 years later, the crew walked out, thinner, strange-eyed, alive. You'd think that was the end of the story. It wasn't. The second mission is where it turned into something out of a movie. A second crew sealed themselves in 1994. But behind the scenes, the company was imploding. On April 1st, federal marshals arrived with a restraining order and threw out the management. Ed Bass brought in an outside businessman to take control, a man named Steve Bannon. Yes, that's Steve Bannon. Days later, at 3 in the morning, 2 members of the original crew came back. They broke into the compound from the outside and threw open the airlock doors. and 3 emergency exits, leaving them gaping for 15 minutes. They smashed 5 panes of glass. They said the experiment had become unsafe, and the people inside deserved the choice to leave. 10% of the sealed world's air rushed out into the Arizona night. The second mission was shut down early. The company dissolved, and the dream of a sealed Earth was over. But Biosphere 2 is still standing. Today it belongs to the University of Arizona, a real research lab studying how living systems survive under stress and how we might one day build worlds on other planets. The failure became the lesson. We learned that a living world is more complicated, more fragile, and more surprising than anyone imagined. That you cannot simply build a planet and expect it to behave. 8 people, 2 years, one glass world that turned on them. The real question is the one I'll leave you with. If it had been you in there, half-starved, gasping for air, trapped with people who become your enemies, would you have lasted the full 2 years? Tell me in the comments, and if you want more places that will break your brain, subscribe.